Hello, my Stampin' friends. Today I am making some cards for upcoming card buffet. Card buffet is kind of my simpler cards where people can come and just make inexpensive cards that they're going to make several of, and so they're simpler cards to make. I don't put super hard techniques in them, so these are great for just sitting down and making a fast card. So today I'm using a little cheer, which is super cute. This is one of the online exclusives, and you can get just the stamp set, which is adorable. I like this little string here where you can hang some of these little shapes, and it looks like a little garland, or you can hang some stockings. Super cute. And I love that there's punches. So we're going to use the punches. I'm almost making the sample from the online photo, but I changed it up a little bit, and I'm using some papers that are older. So this is a great card to use up some of those scraps that you have lying around. I always have like weird long strips of designer paper left over at the very end. So I thought, you know, what a great way to use up some designer paper, and then you could change up the colors. So you could use traditional holiday colors, like this one is Old Olive and Cherry Cobbler in this paper, so then I went with those colors. But maybe your paper is Real Red or Garden Green, or even Shaded Spruce, something brighter or completely different. You could go with some pinks and things, or just fun colors, and not worry about holiday colors at all. So this one is Old Olive and Cherry Cobbler. I'm using old Cherry Cobbler ribbon. I'm just kind of using up stuff that I have, and I bet you have stuff too. Now, I also used dies for these squares, but if you don't have these dies, then you could just cut the squares. Not everybody has one of the die cut machines, and I understand that. So these squares are super easy to just cut out on your own, and you can adjust the sizes then. But I'm using the two smallest squares from the Stylish Shapes dies. Now, if you do have a die cut machine and you don't have, I mean, look how well loved these are. I use them so often, they're just a mess. And I know some people tell me all the time that I need to get one of those magnet sheets to put these on, but honestly, I just put them in the envelope, and this doesn't bug me. I like to save my crafty money so that I could have everything. So I don't usually spend it on the magnet sheets. They're not too bad though. So anyway, look at all you get. So this is a great die set to have if you do have one of those die cut machines. Look at them all. There's like more and more and more. Okay, there you go. That's how many are in the pack. And I just shove them back in the envelope. I try to make it look pretty for my videos, but today I forgot to do that. So that's what it looks like. And then we're using these two small ones. So as I said, I cut out just from some scraps, and I love that our paper packs always are coordinated. They use different patterns that work well together, and so this one has just different patterns, and I could flip them around and move them like that. Might be fun for the tree. I love these little dots, or there's the stripes, so I actually cut that one both sides. And then this one's fun too, little geometric patterns. So anyway, super cute, super simple, and I'm gonna just put this together with you. So my base is a standard base size. Oh, there's the inside. And then I cut this piece of the same color, so it's Old Olive, but I put it up on some dimensionals, so that gives it a nice little shadow around the edge and just brings it forward. It just makes it have a little frame around the squares so they're not floating off, and they look a little more anchored to the card when they have a little frame around them. Okay, so let me tell you the sizes. This card base is standard A2 card base, which is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock cut in half. And then I've got this piece here, which is, I believe, 3.5 by 4.5. Let me double check that. I cut these yesterday. Yes, 3.5 by 4.5. And then on the inside, I have a piece of basic white that's 3.5 by 4.5. I was just cutting everything the same. And then I thought, you know, I needed to bring some more of that Cherry Cobbler to the inside. So then I gave this a little frame. So this is just a 1/4 inch bigger. So it's 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. Okay. And again, this ribbon is just retired ribbon. Did you look at the new, I was going to say clearance rack. It used to be called clearance rack. Now it's called last chance list. But there are some ribbons on the last chance list, and I always check that out for embellishments and ribbons. There's some good embellishments on that last chance list right now too. Okay, so if you don't have the dies and you're cutting these out, this is 1.5 square, and the little tiny ones I believe are 1 inch. Yeah, 1.5 square and 1 inch square. And then let me tell you how I cut these little squares. So you've got these punch packs, and they're really fun. And I thought, you know, I'm going to punch out these little punches. And I knew I needed an extra sample card because I put one on the display board and one goes in the bin with the supplies. And so I need to make another one with you, but I already punched these out, so I can't show you. But I thought I'm going to show you what I did. I wanted to get it basically centered. So you'll notice that it's about the same size. So if you hold on to it at the sides and then go in, you'll get it centered this way. And now as far as up and down goes, then you'll have to turn it to the side and you can see where it is in relation to this circle. It's almost perfect if you go right in that, see this circle, and you can see that it just goes just past that circle. Hopefully that shows up on the video. So that's how you know that you've got your image in the middle of the square. So it's perfect that these do that, because it's sometimes hard to see what's going on back there, but it's the exact size. So you just go and then you line it up and punch. And I need 3 punched, and then this one we're not going to punch because that's going to be for our sentiment. But these little punches are so cute, and they come in a little pack like this, and they coordinate with the stamp. So you can buy it as a bundle or you can buy them individually. If you buy it as a bundle, you save 10%. Super cute. Okay, so let's do some stamping. For my stamping, I just wanted that tiny little stamp that says Mary, and then we're going to stamp it 3 times. And this one is a clear stamp, so it kind of makes our life easier. Love that. All right, so I just inked this up, so hopefully it's not too juicy. So this is a clear one, and I want 2 in this cherry cobbler. So I'm going to go, and I have to stand up so I'm like right on top of it so I can see the edge. I'm going to go towards the top, and then I'm going to do it again, this time towards the bottom. Different, drastically different colors. I'm going to have to mix that up. Okay, and then I'm going to clean this off. I just inked it up, so it's very juicy. Okay, stamp it on the paper so I make sure it's good and clean. Now I'm going to go in the middle with Old Olive. Now, cherry cobbler is one of those colors like rich razzleberry or blackberry bliss that totally stains your stamps. So my stamp is going to be stained red forever just from using it today. Today is the first time I used it. And that's okay, because it still stamps. The green is great. It does no red in that green at all. It just looks red permanently, and that's just in there. It's just some colors do that, and it happens that it's cherry cobbler and blackberry are the worst staining ones, but it still stamps great. See, nothing comes off, it just looks pink, so don't worry about that. Now I have this little tree here because I wanted to bring some of the green to the inside. So I need this cherry cobbler one more time for the inside. So here's my inside, and I am going to give it a little, oops, that is, my desk has so many stamps on it right now because card buffet is a crazy time, because I bring 12 to 14 different cards that people can choose from, and some people make a whole stack of the same card, some people do one of several, and so my desk has so much on it right now. So this says, sending a little cheer, Christmas time is here. All right, now you're gonna see, I'm gonna just tell you about this because you're noticing it. You can see how it's dark and light. I inked this up and I kind of snaked my ink back and forth. And one thing that they say when you do that is to get a spoon, something smooth. You don't want to do it with anything sharp. And you can kind of massage the ink pad a little bit. I usually have one on my desk and I didn't see it. Let's see if it's here somewhere and I just missed it. Just want to massage the back of the pad after you put the ink on it. And what happens is it helps it distribute it evenly so you don't have this striping of dark and light. So I'm gonna just put this on my sample board and no one will open it because the this one here will be the one in the bin that they're gonna open. So anyway, that is why it is doing that, and I just thought I would point that out. So if you have the same thing happening with you, you'll know why. You just need to kind of massage, and I say a spoon because it's rounded. You use the back side. The reason why you don't want anything sharp is because you don't want to accidentally rip the foam pad. So if I was to use like a palette knife that's on my desk right now, and I was to massage it, I might accidentally stab into my foam and then ruin my foam, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to leave it because I don't want to mess with it, and I will deal with that later so that it's nice and smooth for card buffet. Okay, so here is Old Olive, and I just wanted to bring a little Old Olive to the inside of the card. So I have both colors on the outside and both colors on the inside. And that one I thought, just to add a little more, I like to add more, always more layers with me, I decided to frame it in some cherry cobbler. So again, this is just 1/4 of an inch bigger. Now you can change these dimensions up a little bit, have some fun with it. Okay, now how did I line these up? Let me show you that. So remember how I said we like a little shadow around the background? I also like a little shadow around these little pop-up ones. It really helps them stand out. If you lay them completely flat, the star kind of gets lost in the stripes, and things can get lost in your patterns, especially if there's the white, like this dotted one or the striped one. But by putting it up on the little foamy dimensionals, you get that little shadow and a little break for your eye, and it looks much better. So let's do that. And I kind of like how my patterns end up on that one. I tried putting, you know, should the star go on the circle, and should the, you know, but I think I like how it ended up. Now I'm grabbing my mini dimensionals, and I love that we now have this. I used to have to cut apart the larger ones, but now we have mini ones for a few years, several years now. Time flies. And I'm going to go all around this star so that it pops up off the square evenly. And I'm going to hit fast forward so you don't have to see me trying to get off these little backings for too long. Okay, I'm done. So the big one, this one that doesn't have any cutouts, I'm just going to use a big dimensional. All right, let's put that there. Okay, so now these are going to get glued down to my Old Olive base, and I'm just going to go ahead and use liquid glue. I love liquid glue because I have a moment where I can adjust. So I'm kind of biasing them towards the top because I want the bottom to be a place where I can put some ribbon. Ooh, on the clearance rack right now, I almost used this ribbon, but then I found this cherry cobbler. There's a gold and silver ribbon combo pack. Last chance list, not clearance rack, sorry. And that is great to have on hand for upcoming holidays. I actually grabbed a couple rolls of those. I'm coming to the end of my glue. Finished with that glue just in time. It made it to the end because this I'm going to pop up on some dimensionals, but I'm going to tie the ribbon around it first. So I like to keep it on the roll, and then I kind of Go like this to see if I have enough to tie a bow. Maybe just a hair more. And then some people keep it on the roll while they tie their bow, and I sometimes do that, but this one's kind of thick and I think I need to cut it off. Okay. Alright, so don't laugh at how I tie bows. I do bunny ears, and I have a sister who can tie the most beautiful bows, perfect every time. And she shows me, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't stick, I can't do it. So I do bunny ears, and then I pull it tight, and then if I don't like it, sometimes I put a glue dot behind it to make it stay. Like this might be one of those times. I want it to be straight. Alright, let me clean these edges here. Now I gotta trim this one. There we go. Okay, and then I added, oh, I almost cut that card. I added some bling on here. Let me throw this on the front real quick while I've got you. I like making sure that I put a dimensional on the other side of the ribbon so it kind of holds it in place, so that when you're putting it in and out of the card, it doesn't slide around. So I'm going to put one right there. Okay. Super cute. Very adorable and really simple. But I added a tiny bling there. I just thought it looked like there was a star on top of the tree, and I really liked that. So I just grabbed one of my my rhinestones and put it right there on the tree. Do you have these all over your house like I do? And then I wanted just one more. I could have put one on all three or maybe even all four, but that looked too much to me, and I thought this little one was just so sweet there. But I did put one more by the stocking, sort of like it's holding up the stocking, like where the little hanger would be maybe. Oh, where's my take your pick tool? Here we go. Okay, super cute, very easy, and I think adorable. So this is going to be one of the samples for Card Buffet. Thanks so much for watching.